This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.
What is happening, you guys? Welcome to a Tuesday tune-up with the Ryersons. I'm J.M. Ryerson.
And I'm Lisa. I think they know our last names.
You don't know that.
Well, if it's Tune-Up Tuesdays with the Ryersons.
But maybe it's Tuesday tune-up and with the Ryersons, but the host today is Tom Smith.
It's always been us.
But what if I got hit by a bus and therefore
don't say that.
But
That's
I'm just saying things could happen.
Okay.
So anyway, Let's Go Win podcast. And this is obviously Tuesdays. We talk about articles or things that I'm passionate about. And today is quite literally my favorite subject because we're talking about mindset. And anybody that knows me spends any amount of time, I am just obsessed with the idea of getting our mindset to be the most optimal place that it can be. And so what we're going to talk about is you get to choose your mindset. Your mindset matters. Choose wisely. So the word choose is the optimal one here because it's a choice. I truly believe that you have full control over your mindset. No one else, even my spouse, who I think at times can have an effect on my mindset. Truly, you do not. I keep that power. But it is a choice, and it's one that we can choose every single day. So before I get into what I call Triple H, what are your thoughts on that? Because, again, you know how passionate I'm about mindset. You've had mindset shifts throughout your life. Mm-hmm. Just, what are your overall thoughts on it?
Yeah, it is extremely, extremely important, and it is a choice, right? And I didn't used to believe this. For years, it was kind of like, no, I'm having a bad day, so I'm just going to continue down my little victim road and continue to have a bad day. And, working with, we've gone to professional and personal development courses. We've gone to a whole bunch of different things. And finally realizing, it's a choice, right? And sometimes, I'm getting better at it. Not saying emotions. There's a lot of emotions over here. and it gets crazy sometimes, but I'm able to stop that at certain times, with your help or the kids or whatever. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I need to go put myself in timeout and then come back and choose to act in a better way.
Well, I think the lesson, or at least I believe when we really this soaked in, is when we understood the idea that you're never a victim. If you choose responsibility, 100% responsibility for everything, no matter what, even though you were a victim in a car wreck, let's say, mm-hmm. you had a part of it. And, mm-hmm. and even more importantly, let's say you literally were randomly hit, but it's choosing how you react to that mm-hmm. situation. I think that's the moment that it's really sat in for both of us. Like, look, you get to take 100% responsibility. You're never a victim. You can choose to be a victim, but truly you are never a victim. Is that when it happened for you?
Yeah. And it's when I realized, what are the benefits of being a victim? Mm-hmm. And there really isn't any, right? So why would I choose that path? Maybe to get empathy, or it's not empathy, even like sympathy or, whatever it is. But instead, let's choose another route, a better route. And it's really just freeing at the end of the day. It's super freeing to be like, okay, took accountability for that, and let's move on. And how do we get better?
Yeah, there is an exercise that I do where you write down the middle of the line. You've done the exercise where you list all the emotions with being a victim, list all the emotions with being taking responsibility, and it's profound. Like, you will never choose to be a victim once you look at that list. Now, is that true? Of course not. I get caught all the time being a victim and vice versa. And we call each other out on it like, mm-hmm. okay. But specific to this, when it comes to mindset, when you choose that no one has that effect, when you choose that it is your mindset, you are in complete control of it, it changes the game. So what I want to talk about is the Triple H. And this is what I apply on a daily basis. And the first one is just choose happiness. That is a choice every single day. Now, I know people that you see that you're like, oh my gosh, they're just always so happy. But that's a choice. And my business partner for years, Chris Reed, I always said, oh, it comes so easily to him. No, he works his ass off to make it that way. Yeah. And so when I say choose happiness, that's the first H. What do you do in order to choose happiness? Because again, whether it's female emotions or just Lisa emotions, there are moments where you don't. But when you have your wits about you, you do make a flip. You kind of flip the script.
Yeah, it's really just, so for example, actually, this is a good example. I like stories. When we were living in California, I remember there was a week where everything seemed to go wrong, right? Refrigerator went out. We didn't have a dog, so I can't say the dog died, but there was all these things that happened that week. And it was kind of one thing after another. And I was like, oh, this again, it was just adding to the plate. And I remember when the refrigerator went out, you're like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? And I remember at that moment, I said, you know what? These are first world problems. And I tell that to my friends all the time, when they're having maybe issues on, we have a lot of new homes getting built here. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to have vendors in your house all day. It's frustrating to, have furniture not delivered on time or things like that. It's very frustrating. I went through it myself, but I had to constantly remind myself, these are first world problems. And I do that with the kids all the time too, because, it's easy for our boys and they'll sit there and they'll complain about something, like, oh, mom, this is actually a common one. Dinner is not good, or I don't want to eat that. And I always go, you know what? How about you be grateful that there is something for you to eat? Yes, it's mom's cooking. I'm not a good cook, or at least that's what I tell myself. I truly don't like eating my own cooking. My family's still alive, which is winning. But I tell the kids, like, do you know how many children are out there in this world that don't have water, that don't have food? Like, let's be grateful and eat what's put in front of you. And it's just really just bringing them back to reality.
So that's a perspective piece that you use to flip it to say, okay, even though these problems are my problems, the truth is, the true perspective is it could be far worse. And I do the same in my daily reminders. Your brother is the example I always give. He wishes he had those problems. And I don't mean that in a negative, but if he was on this earth, he would revel and just he would float in these problems and be happy as can be that your dinner wasn't that ideal or whatever.
He would love my cooking. He loves everything about me. I could do no wrong in his eyes.
Yes, this is very true. Very true. All right. So the perspective is just choosing happiness. Make that decision, make that conscious effort. And I find myself when I set my daily intention to say, I'm going to be radically optimistic. And when I do that, what is radical? Well, it means it's freaking nuts. It's like over the top. But the truth is there's days I don't want to be. I want to be a pessimist. I want to have empathy and feel how bad my pain is. But I set my intention. I don't want to lie to myself. So I'm going to choose happiness that day. The second H is to choose health. Now, what do I mean by mindset? It's choosing a healthy mindset. So often I've been told I don't have a lot of empathy, which I think is pretty accurate, honestly, because I'm a fixer. But here's why. Once I see a challenge, my first thought is, how can we fix it? What is a healthy solution so that your mindset doesn't go in the shitter, so you don't feel this way? And that's where I go to. So I don't know when it comes to you, when you choose that health. I'm talking about choosing, like, for instance, I have changed my diet radically since we've been married. I am gluten and, I don't do gluten. I don't do red meat, which I never thought would be the case. But I did all these things so that I could feel my very best. So when I say choose health, that's what I mean when it comes to a mindset. There are things I want red meat, trust me, but it's not worth the way it makes my body feel, which makes my mind feel crappy. And that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say choose health.
I choose gluten because that makes me happy.
You're not right now.
No, for this. Oh my goodness. Well, I've made it through one day. Gluten-free. High five.
High five.
And sugar-free. Oh no, maybe I had a licorice yesterday. It was not sugar-free. Fat-free though. But I choose gluten because that makes me happy.
And that's fine. Look, it's not a judgment. If I had your metabolism, I would choose, and it didn't kill my stomach, I would choose gluten too. I would choose a lot of things differently. But for me, for my mindset, I know, like, for instance, going to the gym. This would be another example. I go to the gym, obviously, because I do want to live a long time, to be with our kids, see their kids, et cetera, et cetera. But I actually choose it more for my mindset than I do physically. And you know this better than anyone, because I'm not the kindest human being if I haven't fired those endorphins. I am a bit crabby if I don't go do that. So when I choose health, that's another thing that I mean is, like, I'm going to choose to go work out, not just for the physical side of things, but almost as much, if not more, for the mental side. And the last thing, and this is an interesting one, this gets a little deep and philosophical. And I see we have a comment before I get to that. You guys look like Joey and Blossom from the 90s.
I don't have a hat on. Nelson. There's no hat on.
So
Does
Joey,
Blossom have a hat?
I don't know. This is I'm not sure that I'm familiar with this. I'm not a big.
I remember watching Blossom. She had a big old hat on.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well,
Thank
Nelson,
you.
if you're hearing us, brother, thank you. I don't know what that means exactly, but I appreciate it. But getting back to this, choosing honesty. Now, why would I say choose honesty for your mindset? If you're not being true to yourself, i.e., if you know you should be doing something, whether it's a career, a relationship, when you're not choosing to be honest with yourself, you can't have an optimal mindset. You can't have a positive mindset because you're lying to yourself. This was something that it's not an easy thing to accept. But when you do choose honesty for yourself, it is incredible how good it feels.
Yeah, I totally believe in that. I mean, that's so true, right? You have to be in alignment with yourself first, which is so important. Because if you're not doing things that you love, how can you be happy, right? How can you have a great mindset? So I totally agree with that.
But we do it all the time. We choose whether it's a relationship or a job or friendships. We say, oh, I have to because, and then we justify away, all the while becoming really cynical and kind of just crabby asses. When if you're just honest and say, you know what? Yes, I've had this relationship with this person for 30 years, but they don't lift me up. In fact, they bring me down. That doesn't mean I'm cutting them completely out. I'm just setting a boundary.
Right.
That's a healthy boundary that you can set for yourself, which will allow your mindset to be optimized because you're honest. Instead of not being honest with that human being, with yourself, to say, you know what? They're not the best of friends. They don't lift me up. When you do that, it's amazing how freeing that is. But that's a scary proposition, especially when it comes to friendships, relationships, and jobs. I guess some of the big three things that we have in our life, but it's not worth your mindset not feeling optimal. So I would love to hear, that's the triple H system that I use, is to choose
Happiness.
Thank you. Choose happiness, choose health, and choose honesty. And I do that daily so that I do show up as the best version of myself, my mindset, which I know you love to hear all these new ideas that I have.
Fantastic.
From a book that I read or from a podcast that I listened to. But that's all part of it, so I can show up as my best self. I would love to hear from you guys. Where can they send their comments, or so we can hear more from them?
Yeah, check us out on all of our social media platforms. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, I don't know, Instagram. We're on them all. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, please do, because I believe in mindset. I certainly don't think I've arrived. That never happens. The mindset is constantly evolving. And I want to hear what you guys are doing to really, get your mindset to the peak level that it's at, because I want to borrow from it. So hopefully you guys got a bunch from today. I know I could talk about mindset all day long to ad nauseum sometimes for sure. But I appreciate you guys. And I want you to remember that your mindset does matter. Make sure to choose wisely. And until next time, continue transcending life.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.